Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Bree. I make videos about living with life with chronic illness, all things cozy, and lots of books. So today's video, we're going to be tier ranking all the books I've read in the year so far. I want to end up doing this every quarter so that you can see kind of how I feel about the books. I don't rate my books anymore, so I thought this would be helpful to see kind of where they actually fall on the scale for me. And so you can get a better idea of how I felt about things. Also, I tend to kind of change my mind sometimes about how I feel about books as the time goes on. The more I'm away from a book, I may love it more than I thought I did, or I may not like it as much as I thought I did. So I think that's a good way to see where I'm like falling on the book now. So this one's going to be for the first half of the year, and then I will do one each quarter going forward. So let's get into the video. So I've broken the list down into a couple categories. So at the top we have Chef's Kiss, which means it was perfect. It was my best books that I really love and would highly recommend. The next one is Loved That For Me. So maybe they weren't a full 5-star, but I did really enjoy them and they were a great time. The next tier is Enjoyed the Ride, but there were flaws. So books that I thought were a fun time, but I can definitely see that they aren't perfect books and there maybe were some things I didn't enjoy, but I could overlook them. Then we've got which is just like I felt like meh about it. I didn't really care. Didn't really have a lot to say about it. Then Simply Not For Me is just for the books that they weren't bad books necessarily. I just didn't like them. So they were just not my taste. And then the bottom one is Absolutely Not, which is I wouldn't really recommend them, or I really didn't like it. Something was problematic for me. So that's the bottom tier. And yeah, let's go through them. I have them just arranged, I think in like alphabetical order. It was something whenever I put them into the folder, so this is in no particular order, not like how I read them, but just kind of whatever order. So here we go. So the first one is A Botanist's Guide to Parties and Potions. I just read that this month. I'd put it in Enjoyed the Ride, but there were flaws. There are things I enjoyed about it. It was fun, but I don't think it was like the best mystery ever. There were like a lot of predictable things to me in it. A Curious Beginning, I think I'm gonna put it in either or Simply Not For Me. I think I'm gonna put it in Simply Not For Me. I can see why people really like this. It's just that I didn't enjoy it. So I think it's that one. We have A Grave Matter, which I think is the third book in the Lady Darby mystery series. I think the third one was Enjoyed the Ride, but there were flaws. Yeah, because I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't say it's like a new favorite. And then we have, is this one A Study in Death? I think that's the fourth one. I think the fourth one was a little for me. I didn't enjoy it as the rest of the series. I think the first two were the strongest, and then it's kind of like petered a little bit, but I still enjoy them. But I think this one was A Tempest at Sea, I think that's a seventh one in the Lady Sherlock series. And I'm not going to go through what these books are about. I'm just going to kind of talk about my feelings on them and go from there. So if you want like more in-depth thoughts about about the plot and everything like that, you can check out reading vlogs. I don't have one for every single book I read, or you could check out my wrap-ups where you can get my full thoughts on all the books. So this one's the seventh one. This one was definitely for me. There was something about it. I think it's something at sea. I don't like really a lot of books at sea. I find them kind of boring, I think. There's just not enough like movement happening for me. A Witch's Guide to Defensive Baking. I'm gonna put that in Love That For Me. I had such a fun time with this book. It's a cozy fantasy book. It's technically middle grade, but there's just something about it. It's so cute and quirky, and I think it could like really appeal to a lot of readers, not just the middle grade audience. And I just love like her use of like what is the word? Like companions, like animal companions. I really like that. This one's A Gingerbread Man. Then we have All Systems Red. Ooh, I think I'm gonna put it in Loved That For Me. Yeah, I don't think it's a new all-time favorite necessarily. I think the series, as I read more of it, could become that. But I think, yeah, I loved it. It was such a fun time. If you're looking for like a sci-fi that's easy to get into, if you're not a sci-fi reader, I think this would be a really good series to try because it was just so like easy to just fall into. And I think it also has a lot for like sci-fi readers, but just as someone who doesn't read a lot of sci-fi, it was a really good kind of intro into the genre. We have Before the Devil Breaks You, which is the third book in the Diviner's Le Beaupre series, Chef's Kiss. I thought that one was perfect. My favorite book in the series so far. Absolutely loved it. I just like how much we got background into a lot of characters. Like we finally got kind of everyone's backstory, and then there was a lot happening with the overall plot. Like just a ton was kind of being revealed, and I really enjoyed it. Black Cake. Ooh, yeah, that one's also Chef's Kiss. I did not expect to love this one as much as I did. I am new to literary fiction. I think I've always had like a bad thought about it just because as I read for school, like classics, for some reason to me, literary fiction was always similar to classics, and I'm finding that I can actually enjoy things in literary fiction. It's not boring to me. And this one just blew me away. I really enjoyed everything about it. So we have Bug Boys. Oh my gosh, yeah, loved that for me. It's so cute. If you're looking for a really wholesome graphic novel series that you can just like smile at, like even thinking about Bug Boys, I just have to smile. Like they're so cute. It's just about their little bug adventures, and it's about friendship and growing up, and like I think it'd be good if you were reading to like a kid to help like learn things about life, but also just if you're an adult, like you can totally enjoy these. They were so cute. Okay, we got Chain of Gold. The series is this whole thing I did not think I was going to be reading in 2023, but the nostalgia got me. I think I'm gonna put like Enjoy the Ride, but there were flaws. Like there are definitely for both of them. But I just they're so nostalgic. I have a good time with them. Like, yeah. Um, okay. I think I'm gonna put all of the Clockwork series as well, the Clockwork Angel series, because again, same thing. I think I actually enjoyed this one more. So if I'm like actually reading them, I think it would go with this. I haven't been putting these in order. Maybe I should. May do that. I think that's good. Yeah, I think that's about right. I would say I don't know. We'll put it like in the middle, I guess. Yeah, I say that right. Okay, we're good. Oh, this one's I don't know how to rate. I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna put it in because I feel like I can't. I enjoyed it, and I don't feel like I can put it enjoyed the ride, but there were flaws because I don't know. This book hinges on a lot of twists, and the first one that you get, it is it's problematic. It is. I'm gonna. I don't know. I see where people are coming from because I think that this was written like all the characters are not good characters, so you're not supposed to root for them. So like their decisions and what they do is like not good, and you're supposed to know that. But at the same time, like I understand how people don't enjoy the way this like twist is used, and like why are we still using that as a twist now, and it's just really messed up. So I think I'm gonna go it was like so twisty turny, it was like unlike anything I've read, so I really liked it. But then once I like learned about that, I feel gross about it, and I think if that's the case, I'm gonna not recommend it. So then we have Convenience Store Woman. Oh yeah, loved that for me. I'm gonna put that at top of that. I think if it was like a little longer, it could be like a new all-time favorite, but it was one that just like really I felt it in my soul. So yeah, I loved it. I did give it 5 stars, but I just think it's not in like all-time favorites right now. So we're gonna put it there. Oh, now we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. Yeah. We're gonna put it there because I absolutely love this. I did not realize I was gonna like love cozy romantic fantasy this year. Like I didn't think that was in my line, my future, I guess, because I'm not a big romance reader, but there's something about cozy fantasy with romance I'm just absolutely enjoying. So I'm gonna go with it. Yeah, Chef's Kiss, perfect. There's nothing I would say bad about this book. Even though I know people could find flaws, I think it's perfect. So even though I knew the end, loved that for me. I'm gonna put it like, I would say it's like tied with All Systems Red if I had to like tie it, because it was really good. Sapphic, mystery, historical, fantasy. There's a lot going on in it, and I think that if it had been slightly longer, it would be like Chef's Kiss perfect. But with it, the length it is, I loved it. For me, it was great. It was a great time. Then we got Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun. I'm gonna put it in Enjoy the Ride, but there were flaws. I still had a good time because it's Finley Donovan and it's ridiculous, and I kind of like the over the top dramatic of it, but I do wish the plot like moved forward a bit more than it did. So I'm gonna put it in Enjoy the Ride, but there were flaws. I could definitely see the flaws more than I could like in the first or second, so they were just more apparent this time. Then we have Fina. This was a little novella, and I'm gonna put that and love that for me. It was a fun time. Like it was just one of those, it was like 92 pages or something like that, and I loved the like alternate dimensions, traveling, that kind of stuff. It was just really fun. If you're looking for a just fun, like kind of, I guess it'd be sci-fi novella about like working in an IKEA and having to like go rescue a customer from like another dimension, I'd read this. It's also written by a trans author, so if you want to support any trans authors, this is a good one to try. And then we have Flower Heart. I'm gonna put this in how do I say it? This one was like an anticipated release for me. I was really excited. I thought it was gonna be all the cozy fantasy vibes. Everyone says it's like Studio Ghibli vibes, which I do get, but I think that the plot was a little lackluster for me. There just wasn't enough. I feel like everything was surface level, and like there's a part with her mom that's like really hard, and you would think that that would be something really hard to go through, and it felt like we just glazed over it, and I wanted to dive deeper into like the implications of that. And so yeah, I just feel like it touched on a lot of things but could have gone deeper. Then we have Grave Reservations. Enjoyed the ride, but there were flaws. I'm gonna put it like actually at the top though, because I really had a good time with this. It's a cozy mystery, but I would say it's not as cozy as some of them I've read. Like, she's dealing with some grief and loss and stuff like that, so it is a little more difficult to read, but I thought it was really good. Oh, Half a Soul. Favorite book of the year so far. Absolutely chef's kiss, perfect. No one can tell me there's anything wrong with this book. You cannot. I will not believe you because it was perfect. It was 100% my whole personality now. And I will read anything Olivia Atwater writes, and yeah, you can't tell me there's anything wrong with this book. What do we have? Heart's Blood by Juliette Marlier. I'm putting that in absolutely not. I feel bad because I don't like doing that to books. But yeah, there was like some problematic things for me, ableism in here, that I did not enjoy, and also it was just super slow. Like, it was a slog to get through. It's like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and the Beast character has physical deformity from being sick as a child, and yeah, it was not. I didn't realize like going into it that it was Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I think if I had known that and known that that was going to be like how that he was a beast, I wouldn't have read it. But I didn't know that, and then I got through it and I was just kept being like, well, let me just finish it. And I really kind of wish I DNF'd it because I didn't like it. It was absolutely not. No. If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. Loved that for me. Yeah, loved it for me. I thought it was so good. It was just like a glimpse into people's lives, these women in South Korea, and I really liked how it was written, how it made you like look at things, but from like a kind of bleak look. Like, it wasn't like sad or happy. It just was kind of there, and I really enjoyed that about it. And I had a really good time reading it, and I liked the different perspectives. I think it was like the perfect length to tell this kind of like slice of life story. So then we have The Second Layer of Dreams. I think I'm gonna put that one in the top of Love That for me because I don't think it's chef's kiss perfect, but I really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the character they brought into this one. I don't want to spoil anything, but they brought another character in, and I really enjoyed getting her perspective. So yeah, loved that for me. Mortal Arts, that's the second in the Lady Darby. I'm gonna put it in Enjoyed the Ride. I had a good time. Oh yeah, right there. Again, I have a good time with these books. I don't think that they're perfect by any means, but I enjoy them. If I enjoy the couple in it, and I like the sleuthing, and it's just a good mystery, and it's really good on audiobook. It's just one to put on and just listen to, so yeah. Okay, we have Murder Under the Red Moon by Harini Nagendra. That is gonna go at the top of Love That for me as well, I think right there. I liked Layer of Dreams a little bit more. I absolutely love this new historical mystery series that is there. It's written by an Indian author in Bangalore, India, and I really enjoyed like the community of women in the books, and this one is even stronger in this one. And I enjoy just like, I don't know, I enjoy the couple, I enjoy the mysteries. I think that if you're someone who looks for like a really complex mystery, they aren't necessarily that, but the way the characters are written and the like descriptions of the place and food and all that stuff is just really well done. And I really like the main character, Kaveri. She's just a really great character, and I like her husband, Ramu. So yeah. Then we have Opium and Absinthe. I'm in between, like, I think I'm gonna put it in Enjoyed the Ride. Yeah, I think I enjoyed these rides a little more. So like objectively, Opium and Absinthe is like a really good book, especially because it's diving into like addiction and grief and this girl who just lost her sister and how she turns to addiction in this time. And I just think that that was so powerful, but it was dark for one, and I thought I was going into a mystery, and while there is a mystery element, it's just much more of being in this woman's head as she's going through different aspects of her grief and using the mystery as like the way to kind of get through this trauma she's endured. And yeah, it was just really hard to read, and there was some parts in the middle that were just like it was like kind of a lot because it was just like kind of the same day kind of repeating itself. So I think it dragged a little bit. So I'm gonna say enjoyed the ride, but there were flaws, even though like the ride itself was like a horror ride that you kind of like want to get off, but you like are kind of also enjoying. That's the kind of ride we're on. Okay, Small Miracles by Olivia Atwater. Loved that for me. Ooh, okay. Oh, this is hard to like actually rank them in order. Do I think it's Chef's Kiss perfect? I actually kind of do. I kind of do. I just read this. This recently came out. And oh my gosh, it's another romance. It's a fantasy, but it's like more, I would say like, I guess what would you call it, urban fantasy? Because it's about angels and they're walking around Earth and they have to like help humans. And yeah, it's a romance. It's really sweet. It's really fun. It made me laugh out loud a lot. I really like the main character's perspective. I had a good time. I think it's Chef's Kiss. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I know it's not going to be everyone's favorite, but I loved it. I think it's really good. I think it's underhyped. Like, not a lot of people are talking about this right now. That's really good. It spells for kidding. Oh, okay. We're going to put it in I think that this one is a good one for fantasy readers who want to get into mystery because there is like the magical element, or if you like a light fantasy. But I think that for me, it didn't go fantasy enough. And the mystery was just okay. And there's one, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you read the book and then you look at the Goodreads like reviews, there's one person who just did a one-liner review of it. It's so accurate and so funny to me. And I think it has like a lot of likes because it's so accurate. I know that's vague, but I don't want to like ruin anything. But yeah, so it was just it was a lot more focused on like the romance between the two characters that I thought it was going to be. And I just really wanted like a fantasy mystery. And I think what I got was like a romance with a sprinkle of fantasy, a sprinkle of mystery. So, Strange Practice. Yeah, I enjoyed this ride. It was like Grimm, the TV show, if you've ever seen it. So fun and just lighthearted. Like, it's just, there's definitely flaws, and I don't think it's gonna be for everyone, but it's just one of those fun, like, cozy books that I just read and it brings me comfort. So I thought it was really fun. Sweet Bean Paste. I'm gonna put it in enjoyed the ride, but there were flaws. I just found it like slightly boring. Like, I was hoping to just fall in love with it the way I did like Convenience Store Woman and some other books I've read so far, and it just didn't hit the mark for me, even though I think a lot of people compare them all together. But I enjoyed it. Like, I didn't dislike it. I wanted to like fall head over heels in love with it, and I didn't. Then we have Tales from the Cafe. This is a second in the Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I think I'm going to put that in loved that for me. I think I loved that for me about the same as I loved All Systems Red. Yeah, I think this feels good. I just love these little short stories, time traveling stories. They just are really sweet, and they're something I can pick up to just like escape from reality. Like, they're so easy to just fall into, and I spend like the whole day reading. Like, I read these in a day, and I don't do that a lot anymore, but I do it with these, and they're just so fun. 10,000 Stitches. Loved that for me. Are We Surprised? Olivia Atwater. Strikes again. We're going to put it right here. It wasn't as strong as Half a Soul because I just fell head over heels in love with Half a Soul. And this is like in the same universe. And the romance I just didn't love like quite as much. But it was still really good. And I would recommend the whole series. Like, this one is with a maid and a fairy, and he grants her a wish. Like, if she has to marry a guy in 100 days, otherwise she'll have to go back and be his maid forever, and it's really fun. I enjoyed it. Then we have The Anatomist's Wife. That one is first in the Lady Darby mystery series. I'm going to put it in here. I had a really good time with this one. This one really made me like think this series is going to be a new all-time favorite because I haven't found anything like the Rexford and Sloane series in historical. And that was before I read the Bangalore Detectives Club. And yeah, I think it's a good one. It's like a little bit darker. If you like the banter of like a curious beginning and stuff like between the love interest, I think that you might like The Anonymous Wife. I just liked their story a little bit more, I think. I liked the fact that she had an anonymous husband where it was like a traumatic thing, but she got to learn about the bodies and how everything works, and so it like aids in her investigations, and I really like that aspect of it, but I just wish it would go into it a little more. It did in the first one, it's kind of petered out, but I really like that. Next one, The Bandit Queens by Pruny Shroff. Chef's Kiss, perfect. Yes, yeah, 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 yes, yes. That was hard. I don't know. These are all like too hard to rank, except for I know this one's first place, but like these are all about the same. This one I didn't expect to be just quite as fun as it was going to be. Well, I like expected fun. I don't really know what I expected from this, but it just blew me away. Like it had humor and darkness all in one, and the way that these women come together, and just there's a scene at the end that I was laughing out loud to. I mean, most of the book I was, but specifically this one scene. Yeah, I have no bad things to say. It's like if you took Finley Donovan, but you gave it like more of a literary commentary as well. That's what this book is, and it's so good. Bangalore Detectives Club. Yeah. This one, I mean, yeah. Do I want it Chef's Kiss? I think I do. Yeah. Although I know that it's not perfect, I absolutely fell in love with it. It was one of the first times I've read a historical mystery series since Rexford and Sloane that I've really fallen in love with, like even way more than An Adam's Wife. So I just love the descriptions of food. I love the characters. I've already gone into it with Murder Under Red Moon, but yeah, I absolutely loved it. Then we have The Bullet That Missed. I'm gonna put this in actually like high. I was a little disappointed by this one. It didn't have the same humor and spark as the first two, and the plot itself, I didn't enjoy it quite as much. I don't know. I thought he was really going somewhere with the second one. After the first, I think he like really tied up a lot of loose ends, or like a lot of things I thought could have been improved upon. And then the third book just kind of like was a little lackluster for me. Then we have The Cabinet of Dr. Lang. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Enjoyed the ride, but there were flaws. This series, I know, we're going to put it at the bottom. I know, no, we're going to put it here. I know that this series is like not great. I know that there's things in it that are not always like the best, and the way they write women and things like that. But man, do they know how to do a twist and leave you hanging. At the end of this book, WTF. All I have to say. Like, I was mouth hanging open. What just happened? And for most of the book, I was like, yeah, this is great. And then the last, like, little bit, I was like, they always do that to me. They suck me back in. So, I wouldn't say I recommend this series to everyone, but it's a guilty pleasure. What can I say? Oh, The Conductors. Yeah, loved that for me. Also, High loved that for me. I think this is such an underhyped series. I don't know why people don't talk about this series. It's so good. It's a historical fantasy mystery series, and it is just like, it's got this perfect like dark atmosphere to it. But I love like the family elements of everything, because all these people have lost a lot of family and they're coming together. It's post Civil War, and they're in Philadelphia, and it's like all these people who used to be slaves and are now free, and they're coming together and they're building family together. And then Hetty and Benji are, you know, using magic to solve mysteries in the community, and it's just so freaking good. And Hetty is such a good like main character to follow, and just being in her head and like how she looks at the world and how she views friendships, and showing like the dynamics of friendships and how they change over time. I don't know why more people don't like read this series and why it's not more talked about, because it's so good. Okay, then we have The Diviners. Yeah, yep, Chef's Kiss. Yeah, we'll put it right under Before the Devil Breaks You, because I thought it was really good. Just not quite as good as Before the Devil Breaks You. I love this series. I think if you haven't read it, you should really read it. It's so good. The Empress of Salt and Fortune. I think I'm gonna put it at the top of Enjoy the Ride, but there were flaws. Mainly because I had a really good time, but I don't think I really grasped everything that was going on. You know, chapters will literally be ended where it was like, and now you understand, and then the monk who was like taking the narration down would be like, I do, and I seriously would be like, I do not. There was a lot left unsaid in the writing, so if you like that, I think it'd be really good, and I definitely want to continue with the series, but it's just like I don't do that well with like trying to figure out what like the underlying meaning of it was, and you had to do that a lot. But if I just read it and just tried to be like, this was just a fairy tale that I don't understand, then it was really fun. So that's why I'm putting it there. Because I can't quite put in Love That for Me, I think, but I really had a good time. Then we have The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm gonna put it Enjoyed the Ride, but there were flaws. Kind of like, yeah, yeah, we'll put it here. I had a really good time at the beginning. I was laughing and I thought it was fun. And then I just think it kind of like lost it a little for me. I don't know what it was, but I just think that the story kind of meandered almost for me. And I didn't love the characters enough to be invested in like whatever they're doing. Because like I can go for like no plot if I really love the characters, but this was no plot and the characters I liked but didn't love. So it just like lost me a little, but I would still recommend it. I think I see why it's a classic and why people do really love it. And I think also if I loved sci-fi more, it would have been more for me. So I can't decide if I'm gonna finish the series or not, or like keep reading, but I may. I just need to give it a little time to see how I feel. Then we got The King of Crows. I'm gonna put in Love That for Me. I really enjoyed it. I know some people hate the last book. I do get that it was a little slow and like meandering, and there's so much like culminating in this last book that taking it so slow felt like a little painful, you know, to read, but I still really loved it and I liked the ending personally. So, and you know, she got me to cry, which like I said, is not very hard to do, but I do it and I did in this one. So, I guess that counts for something. Let's see. Long Way to Small Angry Planet. I'm gonna put that in also. I'm putting that at the very top of Enjoy the Ride, but there were flaws. I don't think that there's like actually a ton of flaws in this book. I just think I'm not a sci-fi girly. Like there's certain things like this was a lot to do with technology, and when you just really dive into technology, like you lose me a little bit. And I loved A Song for the Wild Bill and A Prayer for the Crown Child by Becky Chambers. But those were like softer sci-fi, lighter sci-fi. This is like really diving into like space adventure, and I think that's where it like loses me a little. But the characters were so good, and by the end, like I really loved the whole dynamic of everyone, and there's a lot that happens near the end that I really felt for the characters. And people call this cozy sci-fi and can see why. And so like the cozy aspects of it, I really enjoyed. I just think the flaws for me were just too much science. Who would have thought? Too much science in sci-fi? Yeah. So, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Brenner. Simply not for me. I DNF'd this at like 65%, but I still included it because I feel like I got most of the way through. It's much more literary fiction than I thought. I thought this was going to be more like historical fantasy almost. And there's nothing about it that really said like that it was that, but it was in the fantasy section at the half price books. So I think that's what made me think that. Yeah, I didn't like it, so I ended up returning it, and there was something that just lost me. It was very slow, and I don't think I liked the way the characters were fleshed out, and I didn't care about like the timeline in the present day. So yeah, it just wasn't for me. I could see where someone would really like it. It just wasn't my thing. Okay, The Magician's Daughter, Chef's Kiss. Yeah. I think that this is underhyped. It came out recently, but like no one's been talking about it, and it's so good. I didn't think I was gonna love it like quite as much. Like when I read the back, I was like, yeah, this sounds like it's for me. But man, like I loved this. This was such a fun. It's another like kind of cozy historical fantasy. Like I would categorize it as cozy. Like there's a lot going on, and I wouldn't say it. It's hard to say cozy now because like there are hard things that the character goes through, and that's kind of hard to read. But it's not like I don't know. The whole atmosphere of it felt cozy to me. But it was perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. I'm going to pick up more books by H.G. Perry because I really want to read them. There's some that's like dealing with like Robespierre in the French Revolution, I think. I don't know history, so don't quote me on that. And I'm interested by this, but I really want H.G. Perry to come out with more like this one because loved it. It was so good. So good. Okay. The memory police. Enjoyed it, the ride, but there were flaws. I think the flaws were that it was a quiet story, and I think that the literary fiction part of it was like good. I don't know. There was like a, oh, I know, I remember because I blocked this out. There's a book inside the book. The main author is writing a book inside the actual book that we're talking about. So that I just like felt like could have been left out. Like I didn't really, I saw how it could maybe connect, but I didn't really care all that much. So yeah, I didn't really enjoy that part of it. Midnight Bargain. Chef's Kiss. Man, this is so hard to rank. I love this book so much. Another historical fantasy romance that's dealing with like much more than the romance. And I loved it so much. I've read now multiple things by C.L. Polk, as you can see, even though I knew the end. And there's another one we're going to get to. I really like the writing, and I like the way they world build, and I like the characters. Like I literally it's perfect. That's why Chef's Kiss, right? Okay. The Monsters We Defy. I loved that for me. I enjoyed the ride, but there were flaws. High end. I enjoyed it, but the heist itself, I wish that it like was a little more complex, and like that we got a little more time spent with getting to know the characters. But I really did enjoy it, and I do want to read more of Leslie Penelope's work because I think that the bones of the story were really good, and I really did connect with it. I just think that there were like a couple things I would have changed. So maybe I'll put that in that. No, I think it's solidly in this category. The Year of the Witching, we're gonna go Simply Not For Me. We'll put it at a high end because I can objectively see like how good this book is. It's a horror fantasy. I just thought it was like people kept saying like this isn't horror, this is fantasy, and it's horror. It's got a lot to do with like women's bodies and violence against women, and like it's a horror, so it's like it's going there, you know. And I was not prepared for that, so I had to DNF it because there's a pregnancy scene that just really got me. So yeah, that is why it's simply not for me, but I can see where it is for other people. The writing really good and the atmosphere really good. So it's just like it's just not a book for me. Trust of the Emerald Sea. We're gonna go enjoy the ride, but there were flaws. Yeah, I think I'm not a seafaring reader. Like there are some that are the exception to the rule, and I gotta figure out what it is about those. Maybe it's a found family, but this just like being mostly at sea the whole time, I just didn't enjoy it as much. I think if you're looking for a cozy fantasy and you like pirate stories, you like things at sea, like this is a good one, and so I'm gonna put it there. Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, Chef's Kiss. You cannot tell me otherwise. This is my new favorite cozy mystery series, and well, I don't know if it's gonna be a series. I hope so. It was really good. The found family in this, perfect. And I just love Vera so much. She like really has a place in my heart, you know? So absolutely perfect. And then the last one I have is Witchmark by C.L. Polk, and I'm gonna put this solidly in Enjoy the Ride, but there were flaws. We're gonna put it here. I think this is a debut by them, and I just think it reads like a debut a little bit. It's a series, so I'm interested to see where the rest of the series goes, but I think if I had read this first, maybe I would have enjoyed it a little more, but having read The Midnight Bargain, and even though I knew the end, like those were so good that this one just couldn't live up to that because it was their debut. So like, you know, it makes sense. So reading it out of order like that is kind of where I think it just like hindered it a little bit. I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed the historical, it's like Edwardian era. It's a gay romance, and it's got historical fantasy elements. So like all those things, really good. I enjoyed the way magic works in this world and like learning about it. It just wasn't perfect, you know? I enjoyed the ride, but there were flaws. That's why we have it in this category. So there you go. Those are all the books I've read so far this year. I hope you enjoyed. And if you want to leave a comment down below, maybe letting me know your favorite book of the year and your least favorite book of the year, if you have one, I really appreciate it. And I just love chatting books with you. So really, like, leaving comments down below, I really do appreciate them, and I like reading them and going through them. So yeah. Anyway, I will see you next time.